Hello everyone, I am Lori with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Equine Sanctuary, and this is Rodney the bull snake, also with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Equine Sanctuary. We want to welcome you to the Hodgepodge that is Serpentes Sunday for November 28th, 2021. This is going to be a vlog style / behind the scenes style video, showing you a couple of my workspaces here at my home / facility and some of the snakes, and just talking a little bit about some of the everyday happenings and the normal day-to-day things that I do here. This is similar to some of the content that you see in Tier 2 if you're one of my Tier 2 patrons. I try to put up a Meet the Animal every month, and I try to put up a behind the scenes or Welcome to My World video at least once a month. One of the animals whose enclosure you're going to get to see in this video, my Tier 2 patrons already got to meet in the previous month. So that's just a little glimpse into some of the benefits if you decide to support the work I do in snake behavior training, welfare, and enrichment through becoming a Patreon member. But I really appreciate all of you who subscribe to the channel and just watch the content, because my #1 goal is to improve the lives of animals, and it is more important to me than anything that if people are looking for educational content that is evidence-based and researched information about snake behavior training, enrichment, and welfare, I want to make sure that that's available. Because when I first wanted to start training a snake, I had very few resources available to me. There was a limited amount of information that I could find anywhere about other people training snakes. And so I want to make sure that if people want this kind of content, behavior related content for snakes, that it is out there and it is freely available to everyone. And as usual, if I state any facts or list any resources or mention any resources when I'm talking, I will always cite those sources in the video description. Now, this video isn't one of those types of videos. This is just a fun video where I take you behind the scenes a little bit and show you literally a hodgepodge of different things going on here and of different animals, and I hope you enjoy this. Saturday, November 27th, 2021, TC finds his way from his enclosure 2 rooms away, down a hallway, and into my office. And he finds a new item that I purchased for the snakes, courtesy of our veterinarian, Dr. Liza Pfaff at Critter Care Animal Hospital. And yes, he's picked a good spot to stay away from the dogs that are running wild in my office, because there are horses running wild outside. And the dogs were going crazy in the yard because the horses got loose, so I brought the dogs inside. And TC is very smart to stay where he is because the dogs are getting into everything. But Dr. Pfaff has this item which she puts on the exam tables whenever reptiles come in, and it is this little snuggle thing that goes in the microwave, and it gets warmed up, and then it stays warm for, I don't know, 10 or 12 hours, and it's covered by this little fluffy thing. And I did not put TC on this. He found his own way there, and he's been sitting there all day. Now, these are some new acquisitions. These are Magnaturals rock cages that hang on the side of the enclosure, or I guess you could hang them on the ceiling of the enclosure. These are the large, and I do have some snakes that will fit these for a while. It also comes in medium and small. And I actually ordered 6 or 7 of these, and I've already installed some in enclosures. And that is what I thought was a cave, and it looked way bigger in the ad, but obviously it's too small for pretty much all of my snakes. So I guess it'll be another rock in an enclosure. This is just a 25-gallon enclosure that I use as an intermediate enclosure for new snakes, for snakes waiting on their adult habitats. And there's a baby royal python in here somewhere. And if you're one of my Patreon subscribers, you have already been introduced to this animal. His name is Kenobi, and here's a sneak
peek of him right here if you're not a patron. So this is his enclosure that he's going to be in for a while. He's still a little baby and he doesn't even come close to filling this up. So I think this will do him for a bit, and then he'll eventually obviously move into a very large enclosure, 4, 5, or 6 feet by 2 feet deep and 2 feet tall minimum. I just wanted to give you a glimpse of that. And here's an example of another intermediate enclosure that I have another baby royal in. And you've seen her, it's Romana. And this is just a 20-gallon. She's in her humid hide right now. Look how gorgeous she is. I just love her. Anyway, I use this as an intermediate enclosure as well. If you remember my white Royal Python Mesmer, if any of you have seen him, he started out in this enclosure and he has since moved to a 3x2x18 enclosure. And remember that even though these have sliding tops and they secure with a pin, I always put a secondary screen over the screen it comes with just to protect it even more. And, you know, cats jump on it sometimes. The dogs usually not. The dogs have their own pens that they like to lie in, and sometimes that's voluntary, like Luna's doing here. And at other times, they get to go in there and I shut the door for a little time out, or they eat in here, or if I have to be gone, when I used to work outside of the home, they used to stay in these long-term confinement areas while I was gone with lots and lots and lots and tons of stuffed chew toys. And then this is Marcel, our children's python. He's doing well in his focus cube habitat that is 30x15x15. He seems to have recovered from his cat attack. Here he is in his favorite spot. He is either, well, he's usually always around this humid hide on one of the levels, either inside the moss or in this intermediate level or on top of it. But so far, he has not escaped from this habitat. I'm pleased with the habitat. It's working out really well. Now let's zoom over to one of my back rooms, and this is a work area. So I oftentimes have miscellaneous, I do have animals back here, but I also have miscellaneous items just lying around, waiting for me to work with them or work on them or figure out where I'm going to ultimately put them. And yes, I have a hodgepodge of different types of enclosures, different sizes of enclosures, depending on the individual animal and what it seems that they might prefer. And each of the rooms have shelves like the one you just saw and exercise activities for the animals to engage in when they're not in their enclosures. And this is an example here of a dog kennel that was built to fit these vision habitats on top of it. So underneath, I have space for a dog to eat or sleep or be contained. And then those vision 48x28.5x28.5 fit exactly on top of it. That was 005, our coastal carpet python from Rad Reptiles, and he was in his log. This is Gaheris. He's one of our Morelia Bredli from Ragebeard Reptiles. Yes, that's a water dish, but no, that's not his water dish. He likes to lie in that. And so I leave it in there for him to lie in, and he has a big water tub separate that he can drink from or get in. This is Stamets. He's one of our striped Morelia Bredli. Right next to him, Salea. She is not visible right now. And then that's TC's enclosure. It's empty because he's out and about in the house, sitting on that stand with his snuggle mitt. And yes, that's an empty enclosure above TC. And no, it wasn't empty until today. I lost another one of my Morelia Bredli. Lorca, he was only 3 years old. He was the brother to the striped one that you saw basking. I will take him in for a necropsy. I have no idea what happened yet, but I do need to know what happened. And this is just what my work room looks like. Pretty disorganized most of the time. This room and the hallway with me just working on various stuff. Here is what one of those Magnaturals cave hides looks like in use. This is a medium one, so it only has 2 holes on it, and it has 2 magnets that hold it on to the wall. And this does work very well with glass or PVC. I have not tried it on wood, but the magnets go on the outside, the cave goes on the inside. They're super strong magnets. In other words, don't get your feeding tongs too close to them or they'll snatch your feeding tongs right out of your hand. And then I wanted to show this tub setup because I get a lot of questions whenever I show one of these do-it-yourself tubs that I have fixtures in. And I do want to remind everybody that if you're going to put light and heat fixtures in these tubs, that you need to set those up before the animal is in there and leave it for a day or two and make sure that nothing's getting too hot and nothing is going to melt before you put the actual animal into the tub. And the front door is from Specialty Enclosure Designs. Whoa, you made it this far. It seems like we've talked about a lot. If you need a break, like Pavlova here, go ahead and take a break, put it on pause, or maybe YouTube will insert a commercial. I don't know, but prepare yourself for part 2. And we're back, and the dogs are still all here, and TC is still on his snuggle thing, and I guess it's still warm. He's been there for hours now, but he seems to be comfortable. He seems to like it. He's definitely safe there. All right, this is for the person who asked for the update about the 2 corn snakes that were lost in shipping for 4 days in 2019. This is Roberta Lincoln. She is one of the pair that was sent to me in November of 2019. The person put them in a properly packaged reptile shipping box, but then they put that box inside a FedEx flat ship envelope, walked into a Kinko's FedEx, set it on the counter, and walked out. Nothing on the package indicated that there were live animals inside. And then during transit, for some reason, FedEx changed the labeling, gave it a new tracking number, and it was lost for 4 days. I was calling FedEx every 2 hours asking for updates. I was doing my own investigation. I talked to the shipper, the Kinko's FedEx, the FedEx on our end. I talked to Memphis Hub, and then finally, when we got word that they thought the package was in Colorado Springs, my husband went up to the Colorado Springs airport in the middle of the night and convinced somebody to let him in so he could search the boxes for the snakes. They arrived alive after 4 days, and I was quite relieved, and I was quite tired because I was literally setting my alarm, calling FedEx every couple of hours so that they would understand how serious I was about finding this package. Anyway, it's 2 years later. This is Roberta Lincoln, the female. You can see that she is healthy. She's beautiful. She's doing very well. And she is the more outgoing of the 2. She had just shifted out and eaten. Now, this is not one of the 2. This is Sundust, who came from Port City Pet, and she just does such an awesome job shifting in and out of her enclosure that I thought I would just show this. And plus, she's bright orange and really, really pretty. And there she goes back into her enclosure. This is Gary 7. This is the other corn snake that came along with Roberta Lincoln in 2019 and was lost for 4 days with her in shipping. And he's shy. He takes longer to shift out. And he always does this weird thing that once he's shifted out and once he has reached the target, and sometimes he'll go so far as to touch the target, and then I present the reinforcement, he backs away from the rodent or the quail or whatever it is I'm feeding him, but then he ultimately ends up taking it. Why he does that, I don't know. He pretty much does it every time. I want to clean his enclosure, and so I lifted him out into the temporary containment tub. And then here I am asking him to please shift back in. He shifted part way and then changed his mind and went back down into the temporary holding tub. So I just took this opportunity to get some shots of him because one of my viewers asked for an update about these 2 snakes. And as you can see, they are healthy, they are active, they're very beautiful, and they're doing really, really well. So there you go. There's the update. Gary 7 and Roberta Lincoln. They are 2 years old now. And this is one of my favorite snakes. She's a Morelia Bredli. Her name is Katesh. She is 1 year old, and she is a 50% hypomelanistic stonewashed Bredli from Ralph Polinsky at Midwest Serpentarium. And I could look at her all day. She's in my front office. I look at her quite often. I have hundreds of photos of her. I just think she's gorgeous. She's got the most beautiful stonewashed pattern. And then even though she is only 50% hypomelanistic, which means that she should have a 50% reduction in the dark pigment, I don't see any dark pigment. I don't see any blacks on her and she's just absolutely stunning. And I wanted to share her with you and just show you this gorgeous snake. She's also very smart and she has a really good personality. So obviously she's one of my favorite animals for all of those reasons.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. I hope you had fun with that. And I do want to remind everyone that this is Serpentes Sunday for November 28th, 2021. And that means 7 days from now, next Sunday is the first Sunday in December. One, I can't believe a whole year has already flown by and that it's almost 2022. But the second thing, and the more important thing, is next Sunday is Super Dwarf Sunday. And I put out a call for anybody that has a super dwarf reticulated python or a dwarf reticulated python and shares their home with one or more to send me a short 1 to 3 minute video answering 3 questions. Why did you get a super dwarf or dwarf reticulated python? Where did you get your dwarf or super dwarf reticulated python? And what is one thing that has surprised you about your dwarf or super dwarf reticulated python? So if you would still like to be included in next week's video answering those 3 questions for me, please send me a video at behavioureducationllc@gmail.com or via Facebook Messenger. You can feel free to use WeTransfer as well, or if there's another way that you know of that's better to get me that video, just reach out to me on Messenger and let me know you're going to send it. I've got a couple already, and I know of a couple of other people, Danielle and Summer, who told me they were going to send me videos, and I haven't received yours yet. So I'm sure they're just lost somewhere in the electronic ether, but I'm still waiting on them. And thank you, Bob and Steven, for sending me yours. I already have yours edited into the video, and I'm sure everybody's going to look forward to seeing those next Sunday. So until next time, everybody, please remember to always be kind and love your animals.